Previously on The Greatest Estate Developer. Our hero defied the impossible trials, shattered the system, escaped a citywide siege, only to face an even deadlier enemy rising from the shadows. And now the story continues. Title blares, Lee Jun, the greatest estate developer. Zoom out to Frontera County, destitute, now Lloyd Frontera's inheritance. Debt looms, family's future on the line. A looming waste crisis to the north pushes him into action. Lloyd spreads a map, pinpointing a sludge disposal plant 10 km north. He marks it as the region's waste hub. That spot becomes the cornerstone of his modernization scheme and his revenue stream. He then gathers his team to tally the costs. Lloyd crunches numbers for the plant's fees. Yoon Si-yeon hammers him, demanding quicker totals. He refuses rough guesses, demanding exact figures. Pages flutter as he marks each line, his oversized hamster perched nearby, eyes gleaming. The council bestows upon Suho the title Guardian of Clean Tissue. Authority now backs strict sanitation edicts. Quarantines seal off external diseases. Citizens breathe easier, trusting his command. Yet Suho now ponders his next stride toward Namaran. Suho questions the timing of his Namaran venture, fearing a planless journey could hide a lurking villain. Bella shouts, "Join the Hari squad with a sub before the system crashes." Counselors note his doubts, urging meticulous preparation. Lloyd stands in the palace courtyard. A servant yells, "Master Lloyd over there." Fuck Seong follows, "What's all that?" Noble gazes lock onto him, heralding marriage negotiations.
Master Lloyd over there. What's all that?
Marriage proposals soon cascade his way. The First Lady gasps, clutching her fan, then declares she wishes to marry Lloyd, praising his reputation. She spots a servant seated while Lloyd stands and asks why. Lloyd answers bluntly, "Because I'm Lloyd." Her proposal forces him to weigh a costly alliance. A second noblewoman soon steps forward, ready. The First Lady bows, exits, and says farewell. Moments later, a second noblewoman arrives, entourage displaying a different crest. She offers a courteous greeting, repeating formal niceties. Her entrance adds another marriage contender to Lloyd's table. She will soon repeat the marriage request. The second noblewoman gasps, then declares she wants to become Lloyd's wife, citing his recent achievements. A servant apologizes, says he was speaking to Lloyd, and points out the renowned swordmaster Sir Asrahan stands behind him. Another servant notes Lloyd's stress over the marriage proposals and asks how he knows about them. This highlights the court's scrutiny. Sir Asrahan stands behind you.
You seem troubled by marriage matters.
The tension rises as the swordmaster prepares to intervene. Lloyd Frontera slams his fist on the marble desk as three noblewomen storm his study, each father demanding a marriage alliance while his newly finished waste disposal plant earns him a bewildered public health commendation.
Lloyd watches a torrent of displaced families flood the county gates, choking his freshly built waste disposal plant, while a godlike Hell Knight looms on the horizon. He feels his hard-won reputation crumble as noblewomen press marriage alliances. His public health triumphs twist into nightmares, and the refugee tide threatens to drown his ambitions. Now the kingdom watches the gates overflow, while the silent Cannavaro plot prepares a massive human offering, and the Hell Knight's arrival hangs like a sword over Namaran's fate.
Your time is valuable. I won't waste it. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari.
The greatest estate developer signs. The city trembles as midnight nears. Lee Jun-woo, now called Lloyd Frontera, lifts a trembling quill. He inks a contract for Namaran's new estate. The ink flares, binding magic to stone. Allies watch, breaths held, waiting for the work trip. The contract ignites a race against the mountain's debt. It launches the cliffside mission. Agent Yal now probes the trip preparations. Agent Yal stuffs tools, scrolls, and a battered leather satchel. He mutters about the looming Namaran trek. He fumbles out folded papers, noblewomen's letters. He fans them on the table, eyes flicking over ink. Lady Silria watches, arms crossed, curiosity sharp. She demands the letter type. Lee Jun-woo cracks open his private treasury, funding a makeshift camp for Hu Valley refugees. He orders fresh supplies, mends shattered shelters, and personally checks each family's plight. He drifts through the market, lending a hand to merchants, sparking morale. The townsfolk respond with heartfelt gratitude, seeing his project as a protector, not a predator. This goodwill weaves a web of eyes and ears, spotting sabotage before it strikes. Grassroots support fortifies his stance against corporate rivals. Amid cheering crowds, a trader unfurls a banner emblazoned with a goat head motif, hinting at a darker occult thread.
It's you, huh?
Agent Yal runs a finger over a stone slab, its engraving reading, Chinese letter, Chinese letter. The debate pivots to money. An aide warns the slope project could drain the kingdom's coffers. He probes the fallout if stabilization fails. Junwoo counters with a daring pledge. Should the work collapse, he'll repay triple the construction cost. The aide's eyes widen, stunned by the risk share. Lady Sylvia leans in, demanding the full blueprint, insisting on every reinforcement detail. She queries how stone will be anchored, which new support arches will rise, and how magic will lace the walls. Their interrogation forces Junwoo to unveil his plan step by step, exposing innovative designs to the council. Stakes soar. A misstep could bankrupt the estate and trigger barrier collapse. The team discovers a torn scrap of paper, its ink frantic. Never TK and Wan N1. They argue over its meaning, suspecting a warning or cipher tied to the goat head sigil. The cryptic note spikes urgency, hinting at a key to disable the hidden magic. Their bafflement forces a hunt for an expert before the barrier finally gives way. Lee Junwoo and his crew stand on Namoran's cliff edge. They unfurl a map and activate a magical compass. The device flares, pinpointing the goat head sigil at 0 miles, right beneath them. Suho, inhabiting Lloyd's body, points to the cliff base, declaring they've located the lock's physical anchor.
Lee Junwoo watches the magical compass flare, its beam zeroing in on the goat head sigil buried directly beneath their cliffside camp, compelling the team to confront the hidden emblem instantly. Han Sungwoo winces from a stone-splintered boot. Javier mutters cursed frustration over the elusive pattern. Junwoo bears the crushing burden of a grandmaster capable of erasing both Barrier and Hell Knight, endangering every hard-won victory. With the compass glowing, the torn scrap reading Never TK and Wan N1 rests beside the sigil, and the grandmaster's threat to annihilate the magical barrier looms, leaving the team uncertain whether any countermeasure exists.
100% pure story. 0% filler. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry.
The courier snatches the blueprint as the hub shudders, igniting panic across the district. Lee Jun eyes the sheer hillside, shouting that only anchors can stop the slope from collapsing. He warns that without them, the entire estate will plunge into the valley. The crew grasps that fast anchoring equals survival. Lee Jun admits his wedge lock bolt plan fails. No tech for the helix. He sketches a simpler anchor on the spot. Knowing the part must be forged far away, he mails the blueprint to Corgi, despite the courier's multi-day trek. The delay threatens their schedule, and each hour brings the slope nearer collapse. I'll send the blueprint to Corgi now, even if it takes forever. Lee Jun steps forward, voice steady. He says, I respect the team's effort despite the distraction. Mira nods, offering a silent warning to keep focus on the project. Lee Jun reminds everyone that missing the next move could cost the whole estate. Their brief rally steadies the group, but the looming slope still hangs without anchors. I respect. The team now faces a moral clash over the beauty's influence. Han Jun snaps, your fetishes. Another voice echoes, an obsession. The argument sharpens, exposing the crew's fractured focus. Their dispute threatens to stall anchor installation before the hillside fails. Your fetishes, or obsession. The crew uncovers 3 skulls, triggering the black magic barrier reveal. The team scours the area for the rest of the remains. They find only a skull where the bone lay. Lee Jun asks, where's the body? Why just the skull? He spots another skull nearby. The pattern suggests multiple victims, raising alarm for the construction crew. Where's the body? Why only the skull? They notice a 3rd skull, hinting at a deliberate arrangement. Lee Jun moves to the 3rd site, uncovers the 3rd skull, buried shallow. He measures distances, finds identical spacing between each skull. All 3 form an even triangle around the mountain peak. The precise layout confirms an ancient magic seal. Equal spacing confirms intention. The scanner beeps, displaying an estimated value of 500 million gold. Lee Jun recognizes the figure as Sir Bayern's annual magical salary, a massive energy source fueling the kingdom's spells. Realizing the jewel could replace Bayern's salary reveals a plot to siphon his magical fuel for personal gain. The team now faces the moral dilemma of exposing the exploitation. Lee Jun prepares to confront the scheme and protect Bayern's livelihood. Estimated value million, that's Sir Bayern's salary. Now they must decide how to stop the scheme draining Bayern's salary. Lee Jun spots another buried skull among the ruins. He asks aloud if the rest also contain something valuable. The crew lines up 4 massive stone anchors along the slope, each hammered into place with precision. Lee Jun counts them, confirming the 4th anchor locks into the Namara NS barrier. The final piece completes the stabilization pattern, preventing the slope from sliding. This solidifies their engineering solution and secures the site for deeper excavation toward the jewel. With the barrier now stable, a hidden tunnel reveals the jewel's chamber beneath the slope.
Lee Jun slams the 4th massive stone anchor into the slope, sealing the shimmering Namara NS barrier. The purified skulls erupt in radiant crystal light, igniting the crew's fevered greed. Mira pledges to move the cursed spirits, showing compassion. Lee Jun revels in profit, endangering the barrier. The team stands torn between hope and impending catastrophe. The newly formed barrier flickers ominously, hinting that sealed darkness may crack, and the crew's greed threatens to unleash a force none fully understand.
The lore runs deeper than you think. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry to uncover all of it.
A hidden door under the the quarter trembles on the edge of ruin. Dao Mai, the famed estate developer, steps onto the broken wall. He reads the flickering runes, eyes widening at raw power leaking out. The crowd behind him shivers, fearing a mana flood that could swallow their homes. Dao Mai lifts his hand, ready to command construction magics to seal the breach. He knows the district's survival hangs on this single command.
You had your chance. Now kneel.
Dao Mai's plan will push the new magical shield to its limits. The shattered barrier hums low as shards of light drift away. The barrier's surface swirls with arcane symbols, each rune pulsing in sync with the mage's chant. The stone statue behind it blazes brighter, its eyes alight. A distant silhouette watches from the shadows, unnoticed. The core emits a low, resonant tone as the glow expands outward, touching surrounding walls. Small stone fragments lift, hovering briefly. The mana stream slows, then steadies. The team's faces tighten, focusing on the shifting energy. Cracks fill and close as the barrier heals. The hidden figure steps forward, raising a hand that emits a faint blue aura, reinforcing the field. A sudden gust pushes the rune stones back into place. Kang HWI grips his staff tighter, preparing for the final push. Kang HWI points at a single glowing glyph and asks, "One?" He hopes the remaining rune can anchor the spell. Li Jun scans the map, confirming only one active point remains. The team realizes the barrier hinges on that solitary glyph, making it fragile. If that glyph fails, the entire defense collapses, threatening their project. 1. A mage declares she must finish the summoning despite low mana. A young mage, eyes strained, shouts that despite insufficient mana she must finish the summoning immediately. She rushes the incantation, fearing delay will break the barrier. A low baba echoes from the golem as the spell accelerates. Lon steps forward, eyes blazing with frustration, and points at Mr. Canavero. He demands an explanation for the failed reinforcement, his voice sharp and urgent. Mr. Canavero raises his hands, ready to justify his risky spell. The confrontation forces the team to confront their flawed plan.
Spill it, Cannavaro. What were you trying to do here?
The answer may reveal the hidden danger behind the barrier's instability. The barrier flickers under the young mage spell. Energy arcs crack along its surface. Kang HWI watches as the summoned form drops through the field. The figure resembles a knight, but its armor lacks proper sigils. Lon calls it a non-knight.
The barrier pulsates, then the young mage's spell shatters it. A Hell Knight erupts, only to collapse into a child-sized figure bearing a tiny shell banner. Its black flames lick the fractured dome, while shimmering mana spills like silver rain across the battlefield. Kong Wai watches his hope evaporate as Lon's frustration erupts. The protective field flickers and fails. The mage's sweat-soaked desperation shines, a stark reminder that their survival teeters on a razor-thin magical edge. The shattered dome drips shimmering mana onto the battlefield, and the diminutive Hell Knight hovers ominously. The group scrambles for answers, while Mr. Cannavaro's cryptic justification looms, hinting at a deeper danger.
Don't let the algorithm decide if you see the next chapter. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari and take control.
The ultimate blueprint detonates 10 seconds before the capital collapses. Li Junwoo watches the glowing schematics explode, sparks showering the streets. From the blast erupts the great Hell Knight, its massive armor thunderously clanking. The city walls shudder and begin to crumble under its crushing weight. Li sees his design twisted into a weapon. If the blast reaches the palace, the whole kingdom will be razed. The knight's guttural roar reverberates, promising an even darker menace hidden among the ruins. Li Junwoo steps onto the shattered plaza, gripping a torn parchment stamped with the grain sigil. He proclaims the ruined grain district will become his next trade hub. A sharp crack, TK, echoes as Li Junwoo's engineered cannon fires. The projectile slams into the Hell Knight's armor, denting the metal. Sparks erupt, briefly lighting the gloom. The knight reels, its stance wavering for the first time. The engineers roar with triumph, their invention finally effective. The brief window grants Li precious seconds to reposition his forces. Miss Silria readies a massive mana surge, aiming to finish the beast. A frantic voice pierces the chaos.
What's happening? Where's the Hell Warhorse? Why no legs?
The missing mount leaves a yawning void beneath the night. Lee Jun-woo seizes the gap, ordering his troops to surge forward. Without its warhorse, the knight's mobility falters. The Hell Knight bellows, proclaiming its immortality, as the greatest estate developer hurls a torrent of molten metal. The beast shrugs the scorching spray aside, unscathed. Meanwhile, Zeo Rex crowns himself the first corps captain, his proclamation freezing the clash into a tense stalemate. The Hell Knight thrusts its massive greatsword forward, cutting a path through the shattered stone. The blade whistles, producing a sharp GLLL that echoes across the courtyard. Debris flies as the weapon carves a deep trench. Miss Syria ducks behind a pillar, while the giant hamster darts to pull a rope. The strike threatens to crush anyone still in its line. Lee Jun-woo spots the knight's exposed side as the battle rages. A cruel laugh erupts from the shadows as a voice declares the great Hell Knight cannot be slain. The speaker mocks the heroes, emphasizing that every cut is useless because the knight is immortal. This revelation demoralizes the group and raises the stakes of the battle ahead. The king steps forward after the clash. He looks at the greatest estate developer and admits he misjudged the man's power. He thought the developer was strong enough for a first fight, but never imagined this level of skill. He apologizes for ignoring the developer's abilities and for not giving him proper respect. This admission weakens the king's authority and shows the developer's growing influence.
The Hell Knight roars its immortality as the greatest estate developer unleashes a molten metal barrage, only for the beast to shrug it off while Zeo Rex crowns himself the first corps captain, forcing a stalemate. The developer feels the weight of inevitable execution press down, while the Count's guard's cold warning shatters hope, and Zeo Rex's ruthless claim steals any chance of redemption for the surviving heroes. The Hell Knight charges forward, aura crackling, as the developer readies another contraption and Miss Syria lifts a glowing sigil, leaving the battlefield with power and the fate of the estate hanging by a thread.
When the system gives you a hidden quest, you take it. Subscribe to Manwa with Hari.
The tower of the greatest estate developer crumbles in 10 heart-stopping seconds. A massive stone spire smashes into the market square, sending clouds of dust everywhere. Suho, trapped in Lloyd's body, watches the wreckage block his path. Twisted legs cripple his steps. The dying summoner lifts his staff and summons a hulking Hell Knight. Dark mana erupts, choking Suho's own flow. The armored behemoth threatens to devour the entire district. It's been fun, Javier. Suho scrambles for any chance before the blast erupts. The Hell Knight smashes the square, toppling a bakery and scattering panicked crowds. Suho launches a rapid sigil, desperate to reverse his giant hamster's death. Suho scans the battlefield, anticipating the next strike. He tells himself his opponent must sense his resolve. He extracts a portable sensor, planting it by the ruined tower. He programs it to ping any magical disturbance. Early warning could avert another disaster. The sensor blinks, poised for the next move. The rival smirks, hearing Suho's preparations. Shadows shift as the city holds its breath.
If that's the case...
The Hell Knight strides forward, dark armor clanking. Corrupted mana swirls, cutting off Suho's spell flow. Suho's broken leg forces him to crawl, limiting his reach. He watches the knight's grin, hearing a taunt about fighting again in hell. The mana shield flickers, revealing a tiny opening for a reverse summon.
Let's fight again in hell.
Suho feels his mana heart throb as the knight charges. Suho whispers, recalling the reverse summon technique. He knows a broken mana shield can pull an ally back within minutes. He steadies his breath, ignoring leg pain, and readies the coiled device for another throw. Timing is critical. Any delay could seal his fate. From what I know, Suho lets out a low groan, pain flaring in his leg. He curses the cramped space and the relentless ticking numbers. The groan reveals his exhaustion and the pressure of the imminent battle. He clings to his plan, but agony threatens to slow him. The moment underscores his vulnerability before the final clash. Slug, the Hell Knight steps forward, ready to strike. Suho spots the dying summoner stumbling, half-conscious on the ground. He shouts, calling him a wretch, demanding a fight. Suho tries to draw the summoner into combat, hoping to buy time before the Hell Knight reaches him. His voice cracks with pain, but he refuses to back down. The magical glyph flickers, showing the mana count rising. Numbers flash 2, then 3, indicating cursed energy repeats. Suho feels the flow intensify, his mana heart beating faster. The dark power pushes his own magic forward, but each pulse adds more corruption. He realizes each surge shortens his window to act. Soon the Hell Knight will feel the amplified mana. Cursed mana from the Hell Knight floods Suho's core, giving his mana heart a brief surge. For a moment his power spikes enough to clash with the enemy. Yet the Hell Knight still towers, armor unscathed. The Knight can't ignore Suho now, but the advantage is fleeting. Suho must strike before the dark tide overwhelms him. The Hell Knight raises its cursed blade, ready to end the fight.
Suho summons the Hell Knight beside the dying summoner, corrupted armor materializing as the reverse summon timer flashes 0, sealing his chance to retrieve Ash and forcing a brutal one-on-one. Suho feels his injured leg searing, mana heart pounding under cursed flow, while the Hell Knight's taunt shatters his confidence, leaving him teetering between desperate hope and crushing defeat. With the glyph dead and the Hell Knight looming, Suho's trembling leg threatens to buckle just as a surge of cursed mana spikes, leaving his next move hanging on a razor-thin thread of survival.
A dark fantasy masterpiece. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry to see the darkness unfold.
The skyline collapses in a thunderous roar. The greatest estate developer sprints toward the ticking clock. He slams onto a crumbling balcony, dodging falling stone. A cloaked voice snarls, "You filth!" He spots the silhouette, grips his tools, and knows the next seconds decide if the tower falls.
You filth!
Hama lingers, waiting for his moment to strike. Hama erupts onto the battlefield, arms flailing like a storm. He roars, "Hama!" Then bursts Yuiha. The developer watches, bewildered by the raw energy. Hama's reckless surge draws enemy fire, forcing the opposing legion to split their aim. That chaos could give the team the split-second edge they need. Lee Junwoo reappears amid armored foes, shouting, "Why cling to gear? Drop it! Stop fault-finding, you wretch!" His command forces the enemies to sheath blades, leaving them unarmed and bewildered. Their sudden compliance fuels his teleport edge. The messenger contract flickers, summoning a fresh guide. Javier barrels ahead, muscles coiled, sprinting at breakneck speed. He lunges, but Lee Junwoo's teleport outruns even his lightning pace. The distance stays, keeping Junwoo out of Javier's grasp. The tide still leans toward the developer's cause. Lee Junwoo strains against the swirling black mana, each pulse draining his vigor. In desperation, he triggers a request to invoke the messenger contract's clause. Flashbacks flood Lee's mind, marching with his regiment, then joining a chapel service where chocolate pies and hymns flow. The pastor warns of a lurking demon, then drenches Lee with holy water. The searing spray burns, but the resonant hymn startles the creature. The memory proves sound can cripple darkness. He readies another chant for the incoming wave. "You demon!" Lee roars as black mana erupts around him. He thrusts his palm toward the shadowy beast, channeling a jagged chant. The creature recoils, its form flickering like dying embers. His scream grants his teammates critical seconds to regroup. The messenger contract flickers, ready to steer the battle. Hama steps forward, raising a foreleg to shield the squad. He warns, "Keep back while the altar spikes." Lee retreats, eyes locked on the swirling glyph. Their caution may dodge a lethal backlash.
Please stand back.
The messenger finally steps through the veil, poised to deliver vital counsel. Lee Junwoo murmurs, "It's okay, he won't survive." The hostile crowd erupts, voting the target dead, instantly erasing the foe. The team presses toward the altar, racing before the black mana pulse erupts. "It's okay, he won't survive." Lee still sprints, the timer screaming down.
Lee Junwoo ignites the arena, his overloaded teleport erupting a black mana pulse as the glyph blazes a 7-second countdown. He and Hama dash toward the altar's volatile contract, every heartbeat a race against annihilation. Junwoo feels his resolve crack, breath scorching his throat. He knows a single failure will doom his allies, while Hama bears the crushing weight of protection. Each gasp steals another vital second. As the glyph's timer dwindles and fresh demons surge, the group teeters on the edge. Their fate hinges on whether the altar's energy can seal the black mana blast before it explodes.
Watch him break every limit they set for him. Subscribe to Manwa with Harry.
Lee Jun-woo stands on the shattered balcony, eyes blazing. He throws a brutal bargain at the wretched rival. Survive, and Jun-woo becomes his servant for a full year. Fail, and he must don Javi Ella's ridiculous costume and parade back to his county. He leans in, asks coldly if the terms sound fair, then commands the enemy to halt any advance on the contested district. The contract hangs like a razor-thin thread. One path keeps Jun-woo alive under tyranny, the other shreds his pride forever. The city trembles, and 3 thunderous blasts rip through the sky, rattling every stone. A deafening trio of explosions erupts across the skyline, blasting the streets into chaos. A skeletal laborer groans, "Oog," as it drags a massive stone slab onto the site. Its joints creak, but the undead march on, relentless. Jun-woo watches, noting the raw efficiency of his cursed workforce. A nearby Hell Knight scout eyes the scene, recording the undead's astonishing productivity. This moment proves the undead skill can outpace any living crew. The final scene shows an exorcism seal being drawn, sealing the dark pact. The seal glows with a faint, hopeful light. A priest steps forward, chanting the final words of the rite. "Exorcism completed," he declares, as the cursed barrier shatters, releasing a burst of dark energy. Lloyd reads the skill screen, eyes widening as the Mana Heart skill upgrades to undead domination. The description hints at new limits and requirements, while the old entry has vanished. He realizes summoning undead grants free labor, a jackpot for his stalled projects. This discovery offers a tool to bypass the barrier's labor drain. Free skeletal workers could keep construction alive without paying wages. He now wonders how to actually summon the undead. A spark of hope flickers in his mind. Lloyd stares at his new title, Demon, displayed on the screen, half smiling at the ambiguous compliment. He asks where he can obtain undead workers and whether the skill is truly useful. A small voice calls out, "3 high." A second spirit replies, "Person." The brief exchange confirms the spirits recognize Lloyd as a person and accept his leadership. Their acknowledgement cements their role as willing workers in Lloyd's construction plan. Lloyd now prepares to assign them tasks as the barrier looms. A ripple of anticipation spreads through the group. Lloyd Frontera stands before the cluster of newly summoned spirits. He asks them to join his construction crew. The spirits answer with a trembling please and a garbled jifu. Their pleas show eagerness mixed with uncertainty. This moment locks the first contract between Lloyd and the undead labor force, giving him a potential workforce to dig through the barrier. A disgruntled onlooker mutters, "Whatever, I don't care what he does now." The comment echoes among the undead, hinting growing resentment toward Lloyd's command. Tension rises as the labor force risks losing cohesion, which could jeopardize the massive projects looming ahead. The barrier's source looms, and the kingdom's fate hangs on the next move. A subtle tremor ripples through the ground.
Lloyd Frontera raises his staff, and a horde of blank slate spirits surge forward. He forces them into sealed coffin cells, christening them the Skeleton Workers Squad. In an instant, ethereal souls transform into his unstoppable construction army, ready to rebuild the shattered district. The air shivers with their collective resolve. With the new legion, Lloyd now commands a limitless, obedient workforce. The spirits surrender any hope of individuality, trading their blank existence for cramped coffin lives under his iron command. Their unified march promises rapid progress, but at the cost of their lost selves. Each step echoes like a drum of destiny. A bitter onlooker's mutter spreads through the undead ranks, igniting simmering resentment. The fragile unity of Lloyd's skeletal legion teeters on the brink of an explosive fracture, threatening to crumble his hard-won advantage. A foreboding chill settles over the battlefield.
Every subscribe genuinely helps this channel grow. Thank you, and welcome to Manwa with Harry.